After a short break of recording, now we are going to analyze. We are going to analyze how many records it has processed, because if I went back to my instances, I can see a total of 1000 instances has been triggered. Of my a total of 1000 instances have been triggered. It means my process is able to trigger 1000 instances. And now let me go back to my first page. Let me just go back to the first page. The parent process which helped me in triggering of these instances. This was my particular process. I can see that it has started from 1:20:41 a.m. and it completed on 1:57:24 a.m. You can also see here that this is basically my time which I have recorded, and this is my system time. Correct? Even I'm able to calculate it till seconds. It started from 1:20 a.m. 41 seconds a.m. and it completed at 1:57:24 seconds a.m. Okay. Now this particular process, because I had given the batch size of 1000, we are able to trigger it till 1000. But now I am going to see the counter value. Means I am not going to run till the batch size of 1000, because we know this can handle 1000 sizes. Now I am going to reduce the value and I am going to run a custom trigger values. I will go back here. I will reduce my batch size from 1000 to, I will make it like 2, and for counter I will make my counter size as, let's suppose, 3. It means there will be a total of 3 to 6 instances. Correct? There will be a total of 3 to 6 instances. If I make batch size as 1000 and my variable is 87, there will be around 87,000 instances. Let me click on save and let me check whether I am getting those 6 instances or not. But till the point of time, we had 1001 instances. Why? 1 instance for this particular parent process and 1000 instances for the custom looped processes. Now I would not say child processes, but custom looped processes, because there is no child process here. Let me remove these things, and yeah, we are able to remove all those things. Now I will go back here and I am going to trigger my process to see how it would look like. Okay, I will come here. I will refresh this page. Okay. Let's try to understand what's actually happening. It came here. It triggered this particular process. It came here. It triggered this process. If I would like to, oh, the counter num is not increasing. Okay. Okay. It means it will run n number of instances, but that is not going to happen. Let me delete those instances from here. Let me come back and see what is the main issue. Oh, okay. Let me go there. Let me save it, publish. And I also need to pass those values here. So to pass those values, I'm going to open the properties, setup. Inside my custom trigger, I'm going to pass my values of counter and num here. Okay, pass values of counter num. Click on OK. Click on validate. The moment I clicked on validate, okay, things look good. Things could look file. Save and publish. Very good. Let me remove it if there are any instances present here. Let me close this thing. Okay. What is this one? Okay. Okay. Let me close this one also. There is no instances right now. Let me go back. Let Control D. Let me start debugging. Okay. 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 Now if I go here, should be able to see. Okay. Now the values have been increased. Very good. It has an okay. Very good. If I refresh it here, okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 6. Okay, so it has run. My first process has run one instance, second has run one instance, 1 2 PWM custom trigger, 1 2 4 6. How can we 1 2 4 6? And if I go and see PWS activities to perform, 1 2 3 4 5 6 means total of 6 instances have been triggered successfully. Okay, 3 times 2 is 6. Now I need to handle my counter value, because counter means each counter should be able to execute for this particular instance of time period. I am going to my this particular subprocess activity, and I am going to have it variables here like C also, which should be my counter. It will be a number integer. It will be parameterized, and I am going to use it here. Concat C, comma PV bank counter text PV bank counter, comma 0000, comma slash comma n, and here we go. Very good. So here I will be able to see counter, which is my counter index, which is my number index, and here I go. Okay, file, save and publish. Okay, now in the declaration of values, if I go and see there, I can find I have declared my counter as 1. Let me do one thing. Let me declare my counter as 0 and my declare counter as 0. Here I am going to increment the values. What I am going to increment? I am going to increment the num. Very good. I have incremented the num. Now after incremented num, it came here. It has completed 1000. Counter is 0. 0 will come here. 0 plus 1 1. 1. It has left the process. Now it is my C1. It has left the process C2. Means it came here C1 and pass size is 2. If it is 2, let me check here. Decision. Num is 1 is less than equal to the pass size into PV bank counter. Or let me do here if some issue is coming. A bank local variables, local bank decision value. Let me put it here. Local bank counter value, PV bank counter plus 1, because that here the counter is 0. If I go here, I will type into local bank CV, comma, and if I came here, it will be PV bank num is less than, my counter is 0, 0 plus 1 is 1. If I multiply 1 by pass size, that is 2, it should be less than equal to local bank decision value. Okay, let me try executing this function. Very good. Click on save and close, save and close. Now here it says if increment counter means C value, counter 0, decision value, number is 1, 1 is less than my decision value, yes, 1 is less than that. Then PV bank number comes 2, 2 is less than that, yes, 2 is less than that, yes. Then incremented counter 3, 3 is less than that, no, no means it will come here. Okay, perfect. Save and publish, file, save and publish. Okay, let's go back to the instances, remove those whole instances from here. Remove it from here. Let me come back here. Let me try triggering these instances. Let me see what is happening here. Okay, it got started. Okay. Oh, okay. Okay. Number 3. Okay. Okay, let me do one thing. Let me have those things here with me also. Process display name. Let me put the counter values also here. C dot C. Let me click on save. Monitoring. I have a total of these instances. Seems like something is there. Let me open this instance from here. Let me go to decision. Is less than div. And what was the second thing? Second thing was my activity that need to be captured here also, which is comma C PV bank counter, C PV bank counter, and here we go. Let me do one thing. Let me make batch size as 1, or let me make batch size as 4 and counter as 1. Let me try executing this thing. Means one parent process, it will have, it will run for 4 times. It will come here, whether all the parameters are passed here. Setup, num is passed here, counter is not passed. Let me pass the counter here. Very good. The counter is passed here. It will proceed here. It will proceed here. It will come here. Let me check properties, setup, whether everything is getting passed here correctly. Yes. Okay. Validate. File. Save and publish. Okay. Delete it. Let me run. Control D. Okay, 3, 4. It has run for 4 times. It has 4 instances run. Now, if a counter is 1, what is actually happening here? It has run 4 times. Let me see the clear vision from here. C1 and 4, C2 and 8. Now, here it goes like, okay. Okay. Seems like here I will need to look, open parent process model. Let me open and check what is happening here. Decision, oh, it's less than equals to no. It needs to be less than. Okay, validate. File. Save and publish. This simple process called debugging, and we are just debugging our whole created processes. Now I am going to run this particular process. Let me do one thing. Let me make batch size as 2. And let me make my counter as 2. Let's see how it goes like. So it becomes very easier when you use some variables. Normally people use constants to perform these kind of activities. This is called debugging processes. Let me click here. Let me check. Okay. Okay. Here goes my counter 1, counter 2, and 2. If n is 2, then why things are not coming here? Okay. So it means my counter 1, what have I taken? I have taken counter as 2 and batch size as 2. It means C1, it will trigger 2 instances. C2, it will trigger 2 instances. C2, it will trigger 2 instances. C0, everything performed well. C1, now why n is coming like this? Properties, setup, num, pvbank num. Okay, it's a process model. If I go back here, variables. Okay, text comma. Okay. Pvbank num, very good. Classic mistake. You can save and publish. Okay. Let me close this. Let me trigger it again. File, save and publish. Let me remove all those processes from here. Okay. Let me control D. Okay, counter is 0. That is my counter. Okay, counter 1 happened here. It further counter 3 and 4. And there we go. So we can see, okay, this has been started from this time. Now, we are completed with our design. Now just one part which we need to do it here is, just one part which we need to do is, we need to introduce a delay timer. So for that, I am going to utilize my process and I am going to add a variable called as timer delay. And I am going to make it as date time. And I'm going to make it as parameters. Because why parameters? Because I am utilizing this process inside my process also. I am utilizing this process inside my process also. Let me do one thing. Let me ask it to wait here. And here I'm going to put my values and data and timer as if is null or empty of pvbank timer delay, then use now or use pvbank timer delay plus I'm going to use a function called intervals which is going to accept 0, 0, x minutes. Now I am going to utilize this x minutes here. Number of seconds delay. Correct? Now I am going to use x as 30. Click on save. I will go back to custom trigger and I will type index of rule bank PWS entry values comma x comma null. Correct? Click on save. It's stored as timer delay. Got it? And I am going to utilize a timer which is going to wait to execute till the time specified by this particular timer. Correct? Till the time executed by a specified timer. Now, sometimes it might happen that for testing purpose, I don't want to wait for my timer to get executed. So I am also going to write a custom function here that whether I need my timer to be executed or not. Okay, so I'm going to use like timer to run or not. I'm going to use that false. I will come here. I will simply type properties decision and index index of rule bank PWS entry values comma null. Save. Now, if it is true, it will come here. If it is true, go to timer. If it is not, it will simply assign this particular process to here. Okay, that's it. Now, this is what we are going to use a timer, and we also want this thing to be scheduled or run at each interval of time period, means daily. If it is going to run daily, I am going to utilize my trigger setup, timer, configure, setup, timer occurrence daily after every 1 day at zero a, or let's suppose 01 a. Okay, going to click on save. Okay, I'm going to click on validate. Or let me do one thing. Let me just remove this timer. Validate. Okay, let me add a timer here. So it says HMMA. I'm going to say delete for 0 minutes and timer occurrence daily, and I'm going to put it here like 001A, and perfect. Here it goes. 7 close. Okay, validate. Process model conditional. Now, the classic thing which happens with our schedulers is the moment we try to save or publish, or the moment we try to deploy this thing to the higher environments, they are going to be auto triggered, and we don't want it, the whole process, to be auto triggered. So I am going to put it under my control and type like auto trigger as false. Okay, so I will come here. I will again put an XOR gateway. Type auto trigger. So everything is under my control. Now, if it says it's not going to now run in the auto triggered fashion. Now I am going to put a condition here like if index of rule bang PWS entry values comma auto trigger comma null. If it is true, then go to declare values, else go to end node, and I am going to save, and now I am going to publish my process model. File, save and publish. Okay, now let's see what happens. Now that my process model has been published. Now, if you see, this particular instance has not been triggered by me. Rather, it has been auto triggered, but because I had set up my value here as false, therefore it has taken this path. Correct? Now I am going to make this value as true. But before that, let me put TTRON, and AT stands for auto trigger process model. T stands for times timer run on. Okay. Now let me click on save, and let me just put the values in the clear fashion. Okay, let me click on save, and let me also do one thing. Let me come here and let me pass the timer event here, because here we haven't passed the timer value. If I go to variables and type delay timer, and I'm going to use date time, make it as parameterized. Okay, make it as parameterized. Now if I click on okay, let me utilize it here. ATP at comma text. Let me put here if is null or empty of PV bank delay timer, then type getting ready, or type text PV bank delay timer comma dd mmm yy hh mm ssa. It is going to give me the clear cut situation. And here we go, click on save and close, and let's see how is it going to behave. Save and publish. And let me make it false for the time being, because I am going to save the thing. Let me come here and let me pass this value here. Setup counter. Let me put timer to delay. Got it. Everything works well, everything works well, everything works well. And here also I'm going to put the condition of timer to delay. Okay. Perfect. Process model contains storage. Perfect. File. Save and publish. Okay. Now let's have a look at the instances. This is something, the classic example. The moment I saved, it got published, but because everything was under my control, because I had made it false, so therefore it haven't went to that particular instance. Let me close it. See, while deploying something from one instance to another instance, you need to take care of all the parameters of all the behaviors specific model can behave. That is why we have something called as environmental files. Now I am to make it false true, because I would like to be run. I am going to make it as times to run as true. I am going to make it a time difference of 3 seconds, or let's suppose take it a time difference of 5 seconds. Let me click on save. Let me go back here, trigger this process. Now time of truth, Control D. It went from here, it went here, it went here. It is now waiting. My timer is waiting for the seconds to get executed. Now it came here. See, for the second time, it has 2 instances, but it has only a single instance. Why? Because the timer is present here, it is waiting for the time to be completed. Now, once those time is completed, it will come here. Once it has came here, it will go to the next process, and same thing is going to be executed there. If I go back to my instances, if I come back to my instances, I can see from my instances here that my first process, that is C1, my num1 43. What was my time difference? It was x is seconds. X is number of seconds delay. It's 5 seconds. 5 seconds means 43 plus 5, 48. 48, 49, 50, 15, 52, 53. Then next is 53. Next is 58. Correct? And this is how we are going to proceed further. Okay, is there something the end date is not determined here? Oh, let me put it here. GMT local now comma IST. So in this way, I'm able to create a process model which is able to run for X number of seconds for N number of times, having a B number of batch sizes. Now, we would like to run it for a day. It means what? How many instances I have? I have a total of 86,400 instances. I know my first parameter would be my batch size is 1000. The moment I make my batch size 1000, now the moment I make my batch size 1000, how many times I need to increase my counter? My counter is going to be happening for 87 times. Now 87 is less than 100, so it is obviously going to get executed, and everything is going to run in a smooth amount of time. But now there is an issue. There is an issue, okay? And let's see that classic issue. Let me see if everything is completed. Now let's see an issue. If I go back there and I open this particular process and I open this particular process, properties, edit subprocess model, and let's suppose I have a step task. I have some certain task of activities to be performed, and this is my script task, and I have my timer. Now this process has some individual set of activities to be performed, okay? Comma, base process model activities. Let's suppose let it for 58 seconds, okay? Seconds. Let me make it as seconds, okay? Now just think of it, just think of something like I have my base process which has certain set of activities to be performed, which I would say like now plus intervals 0, 0, index of rule bank PWS entry values, comma null, okay? Now it has certain kind of activities to be performed, and to perform those activities it is going to say perform action, which is going to be date and time, and it's just simply something which is happening internally, okay? This is something which is happening internally. Perform action, okay? And let me click on go, delete, and make it as okay, some tasks, okay? So basically, let's think of an action in which we have a base process in which some activities are happening and we don't know what are those set of activities. So for the timing, I have set it a timer. I have set a timer 58 seconds. It means there is a certain set of activities which takes x of xyz amount of time, or which is going to start a certain process. So what is going to happen in that point of instance? Let me click on save and publish. And let me again go back and try to execute the same process. Let me close this thing. Let me again try to execute the same process. Now, the moment my first process has triggered, it went to my first timer. After going to my timer, what's the issue? Null parameter has been passed. Okay, very good, very good. Let me check for those parameters. I have used the same function. Now, okay, is it something called ppmas? Oh, I haven't saved the thing. Sorry, sorry. But try to execute this thing. Nah, yeah, everything looks perfect. Okay, so no issues, no issues, no issues, no issues. Yeah. So where were we? Yeah. So we were having a discussion. Let's suppose this particular process has certain set of activities to be performed. So what are we going to do in that case? Hmm? So in that case, there is a concept called as synchronous and asynchronous calls. So we are going to utilize those functions because obviously this particular process is going to wait for 58 seconds. But I don't want process to wait for 58 seconds because my process is waiting for 5 seconds. So I am going to make use of an asynchronous call so that those processes will be triggered by themselves. Okay. So I am going to make this process an asynchronous process and I am going to pass these values from here. Like whatever those values are present there. Okay. Now let us see how this process would look like. File, save and publish. Now the moment I click on Control D, you can see my process is triggered. Now it is not waiting for the older process to get triggered or not. Rather, it is capturing those things. It is not waiting for that process and it is moving further. And if I go and see this particular process, this process is still in line, waiting for the task to get completed. Let me understand from this point. It came here. It has two instances. It came here. The moment it came here, first instance, it went there. Second instance, it went there. Then it came, updated the value. Then it came here. After coming here, same thing happened. It came here. Two instances, 1 and 2. Because if we see, we have the base size of 2 and counter of 2. It again processes the same thing. And now this time the counter is 3. This time the counter is increased 3 and 3 means 2 is less than 2 or 2 is less than 2, therefore it happened there, but 2 plus 1 is not less than 2, therefore it went to this particular process and it completed my part. Same thing, let's see if I am going to work on same thing you can do if you are going to work on this thing also. You can call this thing also asynchronously and you can move it from there. So in this way, you can perform n number of operations, whatever you wanted to perform. Okay. So yeah, that's all for the schedulers for this thing. There is one more part for this thing, which will be less heavier than these all concepts. That is, we are going to consume something called as process model. Put this using inbuilt scheduler, using inbuilt timer. Okay, this is one of the easiest thing, but I believe if you are able to process these things, this thing is going to make your foundations very clear and very good. Because in this particular process, let me revise it again for the last time. In this particular process, what are we doing? Let me go there. In this particular process, what are we doing? What are we trying to do? Okay, let me do one thing. Let me make it again synchronous. The timing. If you want to know about pass by value and pass by reference, there's one thing called as actual copy and something called as original copy. Better you try to Google it out, so you will know much more about that particular part. Correct? That what actually happens, which copy gets there, or which does it wait for that particular set of copy, or the value gets copied to its memory, or it's just the instance that gets captured. Now, let me rephrase this thing. In this particular process, we are using 2 points. We are using recursive call, and also we are using parent-child relationship here. Okay. If you see this particular instance, this particular point of thing here, we are calling a recursive call here. That if it is something, call that same thing. If it's not, if it is greater than that, then move here. But here, if you see this particular process, what is this particular process? This particular process is the same this process which you are using here. So inside a single process, we are able to use, the full process. And what is going to happen? The instance which are going to trigger here will be called as child instance of this parent process. And similarly, the instance which are going to trigger again for this process will be called child instances of this particular parent process. Correct? Let me show you again and save and publish. Let me do one thing. Let me make batch size as 1. And counter as 10. Okay. Let me try running this process. So it will be very easy to you to have a look. I will show you this thing also. But before that, let me just clear the old previous instances. Let me clear the whole thing. Yeah, let me do one thing. Let me listen it again. Control D. Now, if you see here, how many we have done? We have 5. Okay. Let's wait for something called as 5. 3. Oh, I had counted as 10. Okay, counted as 10. It is going to make it like 10 instances. Okay, PW custom trigger CUSTOM custom trigger. Now, if you see, if I open this instance and go to file, I can see open parent instance, correct? I can see open parent instance. I can do open parent instance, 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 parent instance, parent instance. Wait, let me close this thing. So it means these are all childs of this particular parent process, which is my first process. So we are utilizing a child-parent relationship here, and at the same time we are also using a recursive call to proceed through the things here. Means this particular function is getting executed and it is getting called by itself. So that's how it was a clear and crisp, explanation of a process in which we have learned about the recursive calls, we have learned about the custom looping functions, we have learned about child and parent relationships. Now let me close this thing, let me come back here, and let me show you the easiest way in which you can build this thing. Now this would be one of the easiest, so I'm not going in the implementation of this thing because I believe you have already learned about the implementation of this part. So here, if I go to my start node, to my triggers, that is my setup, timer, configure, setup. Here, if I say delay for 0 minutes, here if I say timer recurrence at an interval, I can see it is showing me minutes. Now it will not accept any minute which is less than 5. For example, if I type 4 here, it will say the minute must be greater than 5 minutes. So I am going to make use of 5 and I am going to save this thing. Now what is going to happen? The moment I start this process is going to repeat after every 5 minutes. So you can do one thing, you can every 5 minutes means how many seconds we have in a minute? We have 60 seconds in a minute, and 5 minutes we have 60 times 5, that is approx 300 seconds. Now for how many seconds you would like to iterate that part? Same thing with the definition. You can go back there, you can run like in 1 minute we have 60, in 5 minutes we have 60 times 5, that is approx 300. Now we want to run for x seconds, it means 300 divided by x. You can create your custom loop, you can have those things there, and in that way this particular process will be built. So hope things are clear, everything is crystal clear. So that's all for now.